The Alps have always possessed a certain imperious magic that has made them tremendously appealing for centuries. In the early 18th century, it was the imposing Matterhorn, with its virtually invincible appearance, that attracted the greatest attention. The Englishman Whymper was the first to scale the 4,478-meter Colossus on the 14th of July, 1865. The nearby Gornergrat was also popular at the time. The peak offered breathtaking views of not only the Matterhorn, but also dozens of other 4,000-meter-plus alpine peaks. It was about then that the plan was conceived to build a railway from Zermatt village to the top of the Gornergrat. This rack and pinion railway went into operation on the 20th of August, 1898. Today, the most advanced equipment is used to keep the Gornergrat railway running. Zermatt was one of the first towns in Switzerland to ban the internal combustion engine. Here, the horse and electric batteries provide local mobility. In a town without cars like Zermatt, the railway station is an important place, not only for commuters and travellers heading to the Gornergrat, but also a starting point of our journey aboard the Glacier Express from Zermatt to St. Moritz. As the mountains attracted increasing interest, numerous rail initiatives created access to widely inhospitable areas, as here in the Visp-Tal between Zermatt and Visp. Once a through railway connection was completed between Zermatt and St. Moritz in 1930, the three railway companies involved agreed to operate a luxury train between the two world-famous resorts. The Glacier Express was born. As we approach Visp, we get a glimpse of two old Rittibrücken and the beautiful Neubrücke Chapel situated above. Wallis is where much of Switzerland's wine is produced. Swiss wines are excellent, but largely unknown outside the country. Visp is a small but modern station and crucial junction on the Wallis side of the 35-kilometer Lurchberg base tunnel. It is also a popular starting point for the breathtaking railway journey through the mountains to St. Moritz. Brig is close to the Italian border at the foot of the Simplon Pass and one of the most important rail junctions in Switzerland. Many connections from Switzerland towards Milan go via Brig. This is where the double-tracked Simplon railway tunnel starts. The most notable building in Brig is the Stock-Alpe-Schloss. Anton Olteri built the first house in the Stock-Alpe grasslands in 1633. Since then, his family has been referred to as the Stock-Alpe family. The current Stock-Alpe-Schloss is one of the country's finest Baroque palaces. The square in front of the station in Brig is dominated by the view of the trains of the Matterhorn-Gotthard Bahn railway, which includes our Glacier Express. Brig was once a terminus, which meant that any train had to leave the station in the same direction from which it arrived. A connecting track was built, and nowadays trains can pass through the station without making any stops. On the eastern side of Brig, the track crosses the Rhone for the first time. The luxury Glacier Express has everything a pampered traveler could want. The Grenols Viaduct. This viaduct connects to a remarkable tunnel, which the train exits 154 meters higher than it started by making a 360-degree circle inside the mountain. A cable car takes visitors from the Matterhorn-Gotthard Bahn station at Betten to Bettmer Alp and the foothills of the Aletsch Gletscher. You can even still see the Matterhorn from here. The Aletsch Gletscher is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Stretching 23 kilometers, it is the longest glacier in the Alps. The ice weighs an estimated 27 billion tons. Its thickest is 900 meters deep. This enormous ice mass has its origin in the Jungfrau region. The glacier is moving towards the Rhone Valley at 180 meters a year. continuing the journey aboard the Glacier Express, still powered by an engine belonging to the Matterhorn-Gotthard Bahn Railway, or MGB, on this stretch. The MGB was created in 2003 in a merger of the Brig-Visp-Zermatt Bahn and Furka Oberalp Bahn railways, and operates the train service between Zermatt in Wallis and Disentis in Graubünden. Ulrichen in the Chomsetal with its sun-burnished wooden houses. Featuring traditional architecture, these homes were built on a raised, flat, smooth stone foundation to help keep out pests. In Oberwald, the Glacier Express makes its way through the Furka base tunnel. The tunnel is an important part of the MGB network, and for motorists, the car train is the fastest connection between Wallis and central Switzerland. Before this tunnel opened in 1982, this is where the train would start its climb along the Furka mountain track. In winter, this old route is closed due to snowfall and the threat of avalanches. The little village of Glech, shut in by Grimsel and the Furka Pass, is only accessible during the summer. That was a problem in running a profitable railway. In response, the Furka Oberalp Bahn Railway started building the Furka base tunnel between Oberwald and Rhäalp in 1973. The tunnel opened in 1982. A group of train enthusiasts got together back then and successfully managed to halt the demolition of the old track. The group also led to the formation of the Dampfbaren Furka Bergstrecke, which elected to fully restore the track in 1985. The original steam locomotives, which had been sold to Vietnam after the railway switched to electricity, were brought back and overhauled. In 2010, after years of hard work, the old mountain railway line between Rhäalp to Oberwald through Glech was once again the domain of the mighty steam locomotive. A huge accomplishment for the hundreds of multinational volunteers. Here, the Rhone River rises from the glacier of the same name. Stretching 812 kilometers, the Rhone is the largest supplier of fresh water to the Mediterranean. The Rhone is also called Rotten until it reaches Brig. Here, the three-note post horn signal still sounds when the post bus goes by. The signal was introduced in 1930. It was inspired by Rossini's William Tell Overture. After traveling 1,540 meters through the Furka base tunnel, we arrive in the canton of Uri. After a fairly flat ride, we soon reach the small town of Hospental. Hospental used to be an important place. This is where the famous post stagecoach started the journey over the Gotthard to Airolo. Today, visitors can take a nostalgic carriage ride along the same route. Drivers are dressed in traditional costume, and the carriages are pulled by 5 horses. Leaving Andermatt. Past Andermatt, the Glacier Express winds its way up the mountains to the Oberalp Pass. At 2,023 meters, this is the highest point of the journey. winter season also has for Glacier Express travellers. Oberalp Bahn station. The trains must pass one another here, as most of the line is single track. Back to summer, we leave Oberalp Bahn station, where the train requires the rack and pinion track to make the descent. After a 3-hour hike along a narrow and sometimes steep mountain trail, we find a small, crystal-clear mountain lake surrounded by sheer cliffs at 2,345 meters. The sight is even more impressive when we realize that we are standing at the source of one of the largest rivers in Europe, the Rhine. From the calm surface of the lake, the river courses 1,320 kilometers through to the Netherlands, at some points churning wildly before feeding the North Sea. A familiar sight to every train enthusiast, the Bunyai Viaduct at Sedrun. 4.5 hours later, at approximately the halfway point of our journey, we reach Disentis. This is always where the engine is changed. Part of the MGB track from Zermatt to Disentis is fitted out with a toothed rack rail, which in combination with the pinions on the engine and the cars helps the train safely negotiate the steep sections of the track. The Rhätischen Railway, or Rhätische Bahn, is a narrow-gauge track and adhesion railway. It does not have the tooth, rack, rail and pinions. The Rhätischen Railway locomotives cannot thus use the MGB network. Here, the 4 MGB trains are scaled back to 2 for the Rhätischen Railway. The MGB cannot pull any longer trains on account of the steep sections of its track. Disentis is dominated by the 2 onion-domed Baroque towers of the oldest Benedictine monastery in Switzerland. In prehistoric times, a huge rock slide occurred at Flims, which blocked the Vorderrhein River in the valley, forming a lake. Over time, water found its way through the mass of stone, creating a stunning gorge called the Ruin Alta. This gorge is also sometimes referred to as the Grand Canyon of Switzerland. The Rhätischen Railway follows the bed of the Rhine along the Rheinschlucht. Chur, founded by the Romans, is the oldest city in Switzerland. The Roman-style cathedral was built in the 12th and 13th centuries. The bishop's palace dates back to the 18th century. Chur is also the capital of Canton Graubünden and is an important commercial centre. Rhätischen Railway headquarters are located here. Trains for Arosa depart from the station in Chur. These old pictures show that travelling on the Glacier Express was something special for passengers in the old days too. Departure from Chur is always a noisy and enthusiastic process. The modern Glacier Express has a particularly attractive design. The glacier blue on the sides is especially eye-catching. Likewise, the huge Swiss flag that spans 2 cars is striking. Thusis is an important junction south via the Splügen and St. Bernardino Pass, or east over the Albula or the Julia Pass. For the train and its passengers, this is where the Albula line to St. Moritz starts. Here in Thusis, this passenger has been waiting a long time for her train. Thusis is also where the Via Mala Schlucht starts. The Via Mala is a 600-meter deep gorge, so deep it barely sees the light of day. This used to be the only way to reach the south. Travelers had to go by mule, following a frightening path hewn out of the rock. Nerves of steel were de rigueur, possibly due to the name's origin. Via Mala means evil road. From Thusis, the train follows the Albula line. The Rhätischen Railway's Albula and Bernina lines were added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2008. On our way south, we pass the Rhätischen Railway's 85-meter-high Solisbrücke. On the same train from Chur, passengers are thrilled when reaching the Landwasser Viaduct, the Rhätischen Railway's most famous viaduct. The Rhaetian Railway is a company that takes great pride in its impressive history. Bringing this to life includes regularly organizing special trips using old equipment such as the old crocodile shown here. The Landwasser Viaduct at Filisur is an amazing feat of engineering, spanning 130 meters and towering 65 meters high. Perhaps more impressive is the fact the viaduct takes a tight curve with a radius of just 100 meters. Silent compliments are paid to the builders as the train disappears at the end of the viaduct into a tunnel carved into a sheer cliff. It may be tiny, but Filisur definitely qualifies as a railway junction. This is where the line from Davos meets the Albula line. During the high season, a Glacier Express offers direct service between Filisur and Davos. Leaving Filisur, we pass the Hotel Grishuna. The former railway station hotel is internationally renowned among train enthusiasts. They prefer a room overlooking the tracks instead of one with a view of the splendid Albula Valley. Bergün, on the Albula Passstraße, is still very much a traditional alpine village. This is where the spectacular journey through spiral tunnels and towering viaducts begins, and offers abundant proof of why the line was awarded UNESCO World Heritage status. On the way from Bergün to Preda, the Glacier Express must cope with a 416-meter difference in height. The distance between the two towns is only 6 kilometers. Normally, this incline would be too steep for a train to handle. So the steep incline could accommodate an adhesion train, the track had to be artificially extended. As a result, the line zigzags through the valley, and the railway engineers constructed a number of spiral loops along the way. These 270-degree tunnels helped extend the line by 12 kilometers. Its increased length means the track is less steep. We continue our journey powered by the old crocodile. For decades, this engine was immediately recognizable by the familiar sound of the connecting rods echoing through the valley. We show you the most spectacular part of the Albula line. In Preda, in winter, sledding enthusiasts navigate the closed-off road along the 6-kilometer descent to Bergün. For a rerun, the Rhätischen Railway then takes them back up to Preda on a special sled train.
Wow!
Another look from the cabin when reaching the Albula Tunnel. Preda is also where the Albula Tunnel starts. Construction of the tunnel began in October 1898. The 5,865-meter-long railway tunnel connects the Albula Valley with the southern Engadin Valley. Reaching 1,820 meters at its highest point, the Albula Tunnel is the second highest alpine passageway. In 1903, the tunnel was incorporated in the Albula Line. After reaching Spinas, on the other side of the Albula Tunnel, we arrive in Engadin. Engadin literally means Garden of the Inn, named after the river Inn, which originates in Graubünden. Here, three rivers, the Inn, the Rhone, and the Rhine, flow in three different directions to three different seas: the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, and the North Sea. Looking out on Celerina, it is hard to imagine bobsleds and skeletons zipping down at 130 kilometers an hour in the winter season. Here, the train passes the small viaduct over the only natural ice sledding track in the world, the Cresta Run, and the Bob Run, where the World Cup Championships are held. Right now, grazing sheep help keep the grass short at the finishing lines. Engadin became a winter tourism destination after an hotel owner persuaded wealthy English summer visitors to spend the winter in St. Moritz. Assured that their money would be refunded if they were not happy, they decided to come, and they have kept coming ever since. The region hosts dozens of winter sporting events each year. During the high season, many Glacier Express trains arrive daily in St. Moritz. After arrival, they are immediately carefully inspected and prepared for the next day. After 7.5 hours, 291 bridges and 91 tunnels, our Glacier Express journey comes to an end at the station of St. Moritz, up at an altitude of 1,730 meters. As evening falls, passengers relax in one of the many comfortable hotels where they eat and drink superbly well and relive something of the adventures of the railway builders of yesteryear, and truly an unforgettable journey.